life. That's what biomimicry calls us to do. Just like our ancestors, they looked at the natural world anytime they wanted to create an invention. Like they observed the spider and her web, and they said, that's a cool way to catch food. We should mimic that. Biomimicry reminds us that all life is connected. And I know we hear it all the time, like we're all connected, and it's really hard sometimes to feel like that's actually true. But if you look deep enough, if you look close enough, there's these unifying patterns that connect all of us. There's branching that happens in the roots and the branches and the leaves of trees. You see branching in our foods, in our neural networks, our lungs. We see lots of spirals. We see this over and over in our weather patterns, in flowers and shells, and even how our amphibians curl up in their resting pose. We see spirals everywhere we go. And it's this golden ratio, this perfectly random but calculated ratio of how we're formed, how we move, how we create life, how we sustain life. And all of this really reminds us that we are not superior. As humans, we tend to believe that we're the smartest with all the greatest technologies, and we remove ourselves from nature, but we are nature. And it's time we remember that nature is our biggest asset. They are our biggest mentors, because there's so many species that have survived all the things that we're scared of. They're expert engineers. They can collect water efficiently, build sustainable habitats, use the sun's energy efficiently, because nature creates conditions conducive to life. And we don't do this. We need to get back to this. We tend to waste a lot and throw a lot of harsh chemicals on a lot of our products, but we can get back to this, and it's all about learning from nature. So all of the heating and cooling elements that we see out in nature, everything is formed to function. So if you look at the petals of a flower or how cacti self-regulate their own temperatures, if you study that, we can find different ways of heating and cooling. When we asked ourselves, how can we make trains go really, really fast, but then be very silent when they go through tunnels? There's actually birds that do that. They can go really fast down into the water and then silently get their prey. We need to mimic that kind of stuff. How do lotuses, how are they so beautifully pristine and clean in such muddy waters? Their surface actually allows water to bead right off of it, and with that bring dirt. All these self-cleaning things that we see in the natural world. All these natural glues that we find. There's a couple species that are working together to create a glue that's 100 times stronger than ours, and it's all underwater. Like, these are the things we need to be learning from when we create our products in our world. Structural color. This is huge. I didn't know that peacocks are actually fully brown. They have no pigment. It's actually structures, layers and layers of fibers that create that color when the sun hits it. So just imagine what that would do for our fibers and our textiles. Someone at Caltech has studied fish and how they move in schools and said, hey, why don't we put our wind turbines closer together, not farther apart, closer together, so that when the first one hits the wind, the three behind it hit it, and it's a spiral effect. Chemistry in water. We don't do our chemistry in water, but we could. There's actually bacteria that can reactivate itself after 150 years. So that's huge for the field of medicine. Architecture. This building on the left here in Amberg is 100% sustainable. It's powered by algae. So we want to see more of this. We want to see regenerative. We want to see space-saving elements that we just can find in nature. And really, as a species, we need to ask ourselves, what is our shared purpose? I love this picture. Like, how are we going to come together to create the next new world? How are we going to also remember that it's not just us alone? We're part of this bigger global community. And are we restoring life with our inventions? Everything we put out there, are we restoring life? Are we being regenerative? Are we giving back? And are we looking at the other species around us as our survival partners? Because that's absolutely what they are. Conserving habitats is a wellspring for the next industrial revolution. I mean, just look at these overpasses that are just meant for wildlife. We need to conserve this and build more of this. Our downtowns need to have more green and more wildlife. Biomimicry, here's some great resources. Asknature.org. It really doesn't matter who you are. If you're trying to solve a problem, if you have big ideas, if you want to create things and put them out in the world, ask nature first. There might just be an elegant solution waiting for you in your own backyard.